Welcome. In this video I'm going to talk about changing spark plugs in my 1997 Land Cruiser, and it has the 1FZ-FE engine. So what I have here are the spark plugs. These are the OEM spark plugs. It's a Denso K16RU. I'll put a link in the description of these where you can buy them on Amazon. If you use that link, it helps me out a little bit. I'll also put a second one, which is the iridium tipped spark plug that's recommended for this engine. I went with the cheaper ones, but if you want the iridium ones, I'll have the link for that also. So the first step is to check the gap on the spark plug, and you'll probably see these little coins. You see them at the auto parts store next to the cash register, and Denso recommends not using this. I'm guessing it's because you could break the tip on these, so I'm not going to use this. I'm going to use some digital calipers. These are some cheap ones I picked up at Home Depot. So I'll turn it on. I'll hit 0. And the gap in the factory service manual says it's 0.8 millimeters. So I'll stick it between the two electrodes, and we're at 0.81 there. 0.7. So I pre-gapped one of these, so I'm guessing this is this one. I got them mixed up. So that one's 0.8, or maybe it was that one. 0.76, 0.77, and 0.76. So to gap these, I'll use my pliers here, and I've cleaned these off because I don't want any like little, metal filings on here. I cleaned it with a microfiber to pull anything off. I don't want those getting stuck to the spark plug. And you don't want to touch the ceramic or the electrode as you do this. So you want to go in here. It's kind of tricky. And I'll just gently pry it open. And then I'll recheck. Okay, that one looks good. So I think that's about as good as I'm going to get them. So I'll put the covers back on these, and I'll take them out to the car, and I'll get started there. So I'll take this plastic piece off here, and it has two 10mm bolts. So I'll set that aside. Then I'll take the air cleaner hose off. See if I can get up to there. Okay. Now before I get too far along here, I'm going to clean this. You can use like a compressed air. I'll just use a leaf blower, but I want to blow off any debris that could potentially fall into the cylinders. Okay, so I've got the intake tube off. Now I'll loosen the bolts back here on the plastic on the back. I'll be handheld for a second here. So now I need to get this bolt out, and this is in the way. So I just got a 1/4-inch socket here that fits under it. Looks like it's already loose. Next I have to loosen these brackets that hold the cables. There's 2 of them. And now we can start swapping plugs. So in order to get the spark plugs out, you pull the boot, I'll loosen this boot so I can get the first one out. You want to pull it straight up. Okay. So I'll get this out of here. And for the socket, I have this deep socket. I got this for my Subaru Outback. It's a 5/8 inch spark plug socket. I'll stick that down in the hole, press it on the spark plug, and then I'll break it loose. It came loose pretty easily. Okay. I'll lift the spark plug out. And here we have the first spark plug I took out. And it can be kind of hard to get it to stick into the socket. But this doesn't look too bad. It's white. That would typically mean it might be burning some oil. I'll put the new spark plug in the socket. And then I'll lower it down the hole. And to get these threaded, I'll usually turn it backwards until I hear it click, which would mean the thread is lined up, and then I'll go forwards. Okay, I've tightened that by hand. I'm now going to use this torque wrench. This is a Harbor Freight torque wrench. I'll put a link in the description to one online too that you could buy. And I have this set to 14 foot-pounds. And Toyota doesn't recommend using anti-seize in the factory service manual, so I'm not going to. Okay, so I'll leave this boot out here, and then I'll get to the second one. You know, I don't want to lose the order I'm working with here. And I'll just go down the line. Okay, so I've got a different socket here that will grab onto the spark plug a little bit better. Okay. The reason I'm not using this spark plug socket is because sometimes when I pull this off, it separates here as opposed to pulling the spark plug out. So this back one was tricky. I pulled this forward here, and then I disconnected this up the line to the distributor until I had enough room. I have an extra extension on here now. Hopefully this will fit. Okay, so I've got the plugs all replaced. Now I need to replace the cables. And I have a guide from the factory service manual here, and it tells how to route these through the brackets and things like that. So I'll be using this to make sure I get them in the right brackets. I just photocopied this from my manual, so I wouldn't have to have the big book out here falling off the car or blown away in the wind. Okay, so I've got these organized. I pressed them all down again to make sure they're all down. These cables were in the wrong spot before. I don't know if it makes a big difference, but I arranged them how it says in the service manual. So now I'll just replace the covers and everything else I disconnected. Okay, so that's it. So that's replacing spark plugs on the 1997 Land Cruiser with the 1FZ-FE engine. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. If you like this video, please click like. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I'd appreciate it if you could do that. And thanks for watching. Until next time, goodbye.